Have you heard of the Thompson submachine gun? If you haven't, here's a little history. It was the first submachine gun available in the United States, and it fires at a measured 900 rounds per minute. Somewhat sluggish nowadays, but it came to existence in an era where very few, if no, automatic guns were available. Many consider the Thompson to have played an integral part in the Allies' victory in World War II. But the first use the government found for it was to supply postal workers with it, so they might defend mail trains. The United States Postal Inspectors, whose listed duty is to support and protect the United States Postal Service and its employees, infrastructure, and customers. Those postal inspectors received a submachine gun a full year before the Marines and over half a decade before the FBI. The Postal Police have a long and storied history of holding power that far exceeds what is necessary for their listed purpose. I hope I've captured your attention, but if you haven't, then it's likely we can attribute that to the rise of multi-section videos containing different visual stimulus. Instead of providing a solution, I'm instead going to contribute to the problem. The usual suspect is Subway Surfer, or whatever current animated comedy is trendy. However, I'm pretty terrible at Subway Surfers, and a school project shouldn't have copyrighted material in it. So instead, a small amount of your screen will now enjoy a short run of the Halo 2 level Delta Halo glitchless on Legendary. The Postal Police are a branch of the United States Postal Service. They go by the common name of USPIS, United States Postal Inspection Service, or USPIS, but they've been called a great deal of things in their tenure, which is in fact longer than the tenure of the United States itself. USPIS is the oldest law enforcement agency in the United States. They often come up in cop shows as not real cops or frankly useless, but this isn't quite true. USPIS oversees mail safety, which sounds a bit pedantic, but you should probably consider that mail safety isn't only about the safety of your packages, but the safety of you, the user. I speak for myself and likely many. I would be much less likely to use the mail if I ordered some new books. Upon opening my package, I was greeted with a mail bomb, anthrax, or somebody's used cold tissue. Presently, individual postal police officers have the same or more authority as your traditional beat cop, with similar or even less training. The Postal Police Union has also recently repealed pieces of legislation which were intended to cut away at the generality of the Postal Police and move them to a more focused role. The 1900s were the era where USPIS did some of the most impactful things in its history, despite having lower power than previous. As mentioned prior, mail train robberies were successfully deterred using the Thompson submachine gun, the one major exception being the Dotremont brothers mail train heist, name shown on screen because I very likely butchered it. The Dotremont brothers mail heist resulted in one of the most expensive manhunts in US history, leading to the brothers' nickname, the Last Great Train Robbers. If the raw value after inflation seemed significant, it's important to remember that that $15,900 of 1923 money is in gold. And gold has changed price at a very different rate than the US dollar has changed worth due to inflation. That $15,900 of gold in today's money would be worth $1.62 million. The brothers had the highest bounty in US history on their heads. They were found very shortly after the heist by postal inspectors and FBI agents. USPIS also contributed to the arrest of the Black Hand extortion ring, Operation Looking Glass, the takedown of one of the largest child pornography rings in history, and they were integral to the arrest of the humor bomber. The 1900s were a time period where many of the ridiculous powers granted to the agency under the idea that they would serve a multi-tool role were taken away. Despite this was one of the most successful eras for the agency because it was focused. In 2020, postal police were barred from performing protective duties, which is to say they can no longer patrol the streets like a regular officer. But in 2023, the National Association of Postal Supervisors filed a grievance against USPS, since the change had been made without consulting the union. Postal inspectors can again patrol the streets, just like regular officers. They feel they're the only police officers who aren't allowed to deter crime. But patrols don't make citizens feel more safe, and they don't make citizens any safer than not patrolling. The United States Postal Service is an enormous financial burden, and paying postal inspectors more to do the same job as a regular officer doesn't make any sense. Police spending has been shown to be ineffective unless highly targeted, and police presence does not make people feel safer. A 2012 paper on the effects of police patrolling entitled Feelings of Safety: Ironic Consequences of Police Patrolling shows that no matter the environment police were stationed in, police patrols didn't influence how safe civilians felt or substantially impact how much crime was done in the area. This should hold doubly true for postal police officers because their job is supposed to pertain only to the mail. Idly patrolling the streets doesn't affect nor impact the mail system and is instead paying them to do a job that someone else could do for less money. A British program enacted in 2002 entitled the Street Crime Initiative was designed to target police spending specifically on preventing robberies. It was pitched as a highly targeted program and one which emphasized the role of communities operating in conjunction with police forces. A 2011 paper entitled Crime and Police Resources: The Street Crime Initiative analyzed the effects of the program. The policy introduced had a drastic impact on the number of robberies occurring in the SCI areas when compared with areas that did not participate in the program. Implementing the SCI program cost only 1% extra over the usual budgets of these precincts, but saw a 15 to 17% reduction in robberies, which equates to nearly a 1% reduction in all crime for those areas. The paper performed a cost-benefit analysis, which concluded that the program brought a net benefit of $127 million, with a cost of only $24 million. The SCI is proof that, in regards to law enforcement, the more specific spending and planning is, the more efficacious the money is. Other precincts which did not participate in SCI did not see a drop in robberies, despite also raising their overall spending. Postal inspectors historically are most effective when working in a focused capacity, not a general capacity. Most historically significant events of the United States Postal Inspection Service have occurred not because they found some ne'er-do-well on the street, but because someone else found the ne'er-do-well. They focus inside of their area of expertise. The United States Postal Inspection Service would stand to benefit from its general powers being removed. Postal police officers should not be responsible for duties which are usually performed by regular officers. The Postal Service and the U.S. as a whole stands to benefit from the Postal Police shifting their focus from prevention and instead to investigation. Prevention is better handled by less specialized law enforcement personnel, so that postal inspectors can reprioritize their role. Instead of serving as a Swiss Army knife, as they have previously, a specialty tool for dealing with mail crimes would be more appropriate for the Postal Police.